Hello everyone. We are back in Hong Kong after several weeks on the road and a lot of overseas videos. So Hong Kong is pretty slow this time of year, but there are some winter species that come out, so we are out looking for those. There's probably about a little less than half a dozen species that you can find pretty consistently this time of year. So they come out a little bit later, but we'll stick with it for a while, see what we come up with. The moon is really bright tonight. I'm not sure if that's going to play a role. And it's quite dry, so that's also not great, but it is a little bit warmer than usual. Still cool, which is good for these winter species, but a little bit warmer than sometimes it can be here. So we'll keep at it, check back in with you if we find something cool. Okay, so no snakes yet, but I found these two male newts fighting, and my understanding is sometimes they'll actually fight to the death. So kind of an interesting observation in nature. Water's quite clear here, so it's quite easy to see, and actually this area is loaded with newts. Another one here. Some of the females are further out there, and they're more yellow in color. But yeah, interesting scene. So, alright, we'll check back in if we find anything else. Alright everyone, so we struck out last night, but it's that time of year, so not too shocking. But I happen to be in an area where I just saw a king cobra reported. I was literally 5 minutes around the corner. Now I assume he's moved on. The photo was of him kind of coming down off this slope and looked like he was head raised up near the street. But I assume he's gone. So I'm going to take a quick look anyways and probably check into the next herp session. But if we find him, we'll let you know. Good evening, everyone. We are out for another night of winter herping in Hong Kong, and we've come to a spot where we tend to find some of the more cold-tolerant species. And I have to say, it's been super dry. It hasn't rained meaningfully here in Hong Kong for a couple of months, really. And the weather's warmer, ironically, than what we're normally used to when we come here looking for things. So I really wasn't expecting to find much. We've been bouncing around a little bit already and haven't come up with anything. But then as we were doing another pass back for a walk up our path here, we came across this guy. And I'm not sure if you guys can see it against the leaf litter there, but this is one of my favorite species in Hong Kong. And I know I say that a lot, but here you can see it. This is the Chinese slug snake, Piraeus chinensis, and as the name somewhat incorrectly indicates, they do eat slugs supposedly, but their main diet is actually snails, and they have a jaw and head shape that is tailor-made for the task. They actually have opposing lower jaw lines that they use to ratchet the snails out, and there's some discussion about whether or not their saliva is at least mildly toxic to the snails and melts them a little bit, but these are really, really special snakes. They only really occur in this area, as far as people know, in Hong Kong. So they're highly localized, but really fantastic. So I'm actually going to pick them up here. They're incredibly docile. Cold weather species. They tend not to get too worked up. I have seen some do defensive displays, but that's a little bit rare. And yeah, they have these really interesting red lacquer-colored eyes as well. And this guy's doing a little bit of the defensive display I've seen before. They flatten their jawline out. And this one's a bit tiny, but gorgeous, gorgeous snake. Really love these guys. So yeah, I mean, it's early in our evening. This is a good start. Maybe the only thing we come up with, I wouldn't be surprised, but pretty happy with it regardless. So we're going to get some still shots, and then we're going to go ahead and keep looking. But yeah, Chinese slug snake. Great start. Okay, everyone, one last look at this Chinese slug snake. Again, these are fairly uncommon snake here in Hong Kong, and very, very localized to this spot. And my buddy who's here with me reminded me that there was one other spot that they've been found as well, but only one record as far as we know. And they're not that easy to come by around here either. So this is pretty cool find. Normally only the warmer months, but it's a bit warmer than we expected, as I mentioned tonight. So I guess we got lucky on this one. Hopefully that means there'll be some other stuff out. We've just finished taking some stills, and we're going to let this one get on its way. But really, really amazing snakes. One of my favorites. And this one's got some really extra cool high contrast tiger stripes on them. So often we actually find them low in bushes and in trees like this. We're actually by a sloping embankment, so we found him coming down that towards the ground. I'm not sure if he's looking for a meal or a place to hide or a little bit of both, but great find. Super excited. Little extra video for you guys, and off we go to look for something else. All right, folks, I think that's going to about wrap it up for us tonight. Unfortunately, we didn't find anything else, although we did see an Anderson stream snake, but weren't able to get it in time for filming. We've seen those before, so not too big a loss, I suppose, and I'm sure we'll see more in the future. But we're going to keep at it and get out as much as we can for these winter sessions. Maybe space them out a little bit, try and time them with better weather, but right now there's really not much of an option. The weather's just what it is. So anyways, Chinese slug snake, great find for tonight. Pretty happy with it. And we'll get back with you guys again on the next run. All right, we're out for a morning winter herping session. Very cold, expect no results, but we'll get after it and check back in if we find anything. Well, no snakes so far, but I did come across this relatively recent shed, and I would say it's going to be a rat snake based on how small the head is. I was thinking maybe king cobra initially because it's quite large, but based on the size of the head, you can see here, and the scales on the head actually, which are quite clear, I would say that this is most likely a very large Indo-Chinese rat snake, possibly a common rat snake, but I would guess a really big Indo-Chinese. So let me pause real quick and show you how big it is. Okay, so here's the head. Let me give you some relative size. So I wear about a size 10.5 or a size 43 shoe. I'm about 5'10", and I would say this thing is probably just about as long as me tip to head. Maybe touch longer, touch shorter, and of course sheds don't always reflect the exact dimensions of the snake they came from. But it's a pretty long snake. So like I said, it would be a pretty big Indo-Chinese rat snake, which is possible. And which is what I think it is, but it could be a common rat. Either way, it shows that despite the cold weather, snakes do come out still, and we've got some sun breaking through, so maybe we'll see something come out to warm up. I don't expect it, but let's keep going and see what we get. Alright folks, we've come up empty today. We got to walk out, so there could be something on the way out. It's gotten a bit sunnier, so who knows, but yeah, not surprising. Midwinter, daytime. I didn't expect too much, so I climbed up to this cool little gorge and check out some of the water features, but nothing doing. So we're going to get out again tomorrow night and try for some more winter species. So stay tuned till then. Hello everyone. We're out for what'll be our last night of herping this week. And I'm happy to say that after a little bit of walking around, I wasn't sure I was going to make a video, But then, up on this ledge, I spotted a roosting snake, and it happens to be a greater green. Let me see if I can get him on film. There he is, right in there. And these guys are non-venomous, so I'll probably take them down so we can get a good look at them. But there you go, you got a roosting greater green snake. Alright, my footing's a bit precarious. So, I'm going to pause for a second and grab him, and then we'll come back in. Alright, so I got better footing here, and before I bring him down and show some of my other herping buddies here, I wanted to show you the in situ. Very cool shot, very cool snake. Bit late in the year for these guys too, so pretty happy to find one. Alright, we're going to bring him down. Alright, so we have our hand model Silvio here, and this is a Hong Kong Greater Green. Now, I think the only other Greater Greens we've got in our video catalog came from our trip to Taiwan, and it's the same family, same genus, same species. This is now Tias major, formerly Cyclophiops major. And one of the more common species in Hong Kong. It is the mascot of our website, hongkongsnakeid.com. And they're actually a heavily persecuted species out here because they look roughly similar to the bamboo viper. So people that live in more rural areas and are a bit wary of venomous snakes will tend to stomp on these guys if they see them. And the sad part is these are actually a diurnal snake. So you're far more likely to see one of these than you are to see a bamboo viper. But they're very pretty. They're, I guess, technically in the rat snake family now. And they get about, I would say, 2 to 3 times bigger than this at least. This one's, I would call a subadult. But pretty characteristic. All the bright colors, calm temperament, that kind of long, narrow head. You can see from the side here, it's a pretty thin head. And then from the head-on view, nowhere near as wide as a viper's head. So actually pretty different if you spend the time looking at the details. But I can see how on kind of a short notice people might mistake them. Either way, we're going to let this guy get back to his bush and have a nice night's sleep. But great find. Not sure we'll come up with anything else, but I'll come back in to close this out regardless.